last year, all of the drama unfolded between what seemed like two TikTok couples. There was you and Josh and Mads and Jayden. And you were all friends until you weren't, and it kind of all blew up.
Yeah.
What happened?
See, this is just like a very like sticky situation to talk about, because I feel like there's like multiple sides to every story, and it was just, we were all living in a house together, and I felt like separately we each were going through problems in our relationship, and me and Jayden were really good friends, and we started doing la-di-di, and that's when like everyone's like, oh my god, like they started like falling for each other when they did la-di-di, and I'm like, no, like that, it wasn't like that's not like what happened. It was like after like the song was already made and everything was already done. It was like after like we were struggling in our relationships separately, and there was a lot of tension in the house too, because certain people didn't really get along. And Josh at the time, like before we broke up, he was just so busy with work, and I was like heavily like starting my music career, and so there was just a point we decided to break up too, because I was struggling a lot mentally, and I've just realized that like, hey, like we started dating when we were really young, and we're both just not the same people as when we started, and I just felt like we had a lot of different interests, and it got to a point where sometimes you just realize that you're more comfortable than, in love at the moment. I don't know, we broke up, and then stuff just started happening, and it wasn't like anything like sneaky, really. I felt like I just let my heart kind of just like take control, and I knew that it was like really bad timing and like not the best situation, and I just know how it looked, and it should have looked that way, because I did make a poor decision, but like I don't regret anything. And also too, like, which I don't want to use any, like, I don't want to sound like I'm like making up excuses for myself, but like with my like mental health stuff, and with BPD, there's a thing called favorite person, and like we can get into that like more in depth, but your brain basically like unwillingly attaches itself to someone, and when that happens, like that's all you can think about, and you'll do anything to make that person happy, and they become your life and identity at that point. And it turns romantic because it's so hard to identify the difference between that. When you're so in love with someone, it's like they become your favorite person, but with BPD it's like different. And I think because me and Jayden were spending so much time with each other with music and all that stuff, and we were really close friends, and I wasn't with Josh anymore, and even when I was, it's like he was gone most of the time. We didn't really spend that much time together. My brain attached itself to Jayden in that way, and so that's when I was like, I'd do anything at that moment to make it work. But then social media got into play, and then the whole drama started, and it created something that it probably wasn't going to be. Like we started dating like it became serious and an actual thing like after everything broke out on the internet, because we felt like we had to. The night that everything kind of like broke out was the day that we performed on Ellen. It was like a headline that like, oh, we announced that we're dating, like we made it official. And I was like, what the heck? Like I'm not gonna lie, like I was being like very selfish, and I obviously felt a certain way, but I feel like everyone can say at certain points that like what people say online is not gonna affect them. And even if you don't want it to and you don't let it subconsciously, it's going to be in your head, you know, and it's going to do something. And I'm just very thankful that I got to deal with that situation with someone by my side, because it, you know, I've dealt with a scandal similar to that, and I was completely alone dealing with it. So it was different, and I felt like a blessing and a curse to, you know, go through it with Jayden. But it was really hard. I just didn't want to really talk about the situation because I was, one, kind of embarrassed, but two, also like very angry at the way that everything played out. And it was just something that like made me really upset, because at the time I just thought that I was doing something that would make me happy, but then I had the whole world, you know, calling me a slut and telling me that I'm a backstabbing bitch and like all this stuff, and I'm like a homie hopper and like a homewrecker and all this stuff. And it was just very frustrating to me because I was like, there's so many aspects of the entire thing that no one knows about.
I think it also helps clarify, again, like we said, like everyone has different perspectives, and I appreciate you just kind of speaking from your perspective, because I think, again, a lot of people are just going to respect how gracefully and respectfully you handled the situation and you continue to handle the situation.
I feel bad more than anything, and I've realized that I just was really selfish.
Again, I appreciate you just like being honest and taking ownership, and you and Jayden kind of just become in this huge relationship that becomes larger than life, which had already happened to you once with Josh, of like everyone wanting to watch everything you're doing on the internet, and then it ends. What happened?
We honestly got to experience such amazing things together. I mean, like, I performed at Lollapalooza with him, and like we did everything. And I was like, you know, I was on tour with him for a little bit when he was on tour with MGK, and you know, again, like I wouldn't regret it. And we've had a lot of great moments that I would cherish forever. And it was just, everyone already had something to say about it and us. And as much as, you know, we wanted to not let things affect us, it did. And during our relationship too, like we both really struggled mentally. And we also were kind of like, because of how it started, I felt like we always felt like we were outcasted from like everyone, you know? And it was just kind of like an us against the world type thing. And that got hard when we both were struggling so much personally. And there was just a lot of things that I felt like we both needed to work on before jumping into another relationship, which we did way too fast. And it got really tricky, and our mental health just got the both of us. And you know, we just had a lot of growing to do. And I felt like there was also the pressure of us, like all of the drama, like we felt like we had to make it last.
There is speculation that he cheated. Is that true?
I wouldn't, okay, not physically.
Okay.
As far, I don't think. And I don't blame him for anything, because at the time when things started happening, I wasn't the best person in a relationship because I was struggling so much. And I know how it feels to, you know, want attention from other people when you're not getting it by the person that you're with. And, you know, there's just a few things that I wasn't too happy about, and that made me very insecure.